Many music producers don't have access to guitars or know how to play them in general, so they often end up sticking to samples because the built-in VSTs for guitars suck. However, it's still entirely possible to make beats in FL Studio using virtual guitars if you know where to look and know some nuances to keep in mind. That being said, today I'm going to share some quick tips and tricks for beginners who are looking to use VST guitars in their beats. More after the intro. So before this video starts, I just want to share that I am not a professional producer by any degree. I've just picked up some knowledge through some experience and some videos that I've watched, and I want to share with you guys. That being said, here is a quick clip of a song that I made using a virtual guitar, just to show you what you might be able to make after watching this video.
It's just an illusion. Well, only you.
Alright, so first things first, once you are in FL, we want to find a better VST than plucked, because plucked, no. So what I recommend instead is Labs, which is a library of VSTs, which you do have to download individually, one at a time, but they have some great sounds. I would highly recommend the Peel guitars, which are what I used in the song that you heard earlier. I'm pretty sure I used Peel Guitar 2. So just to show you again, this is what the Peel guitar sounds like with just some basic chords. Alright, now at the moment this sounds very robotic, and I'm going to show you a few small things that we can do to improve that. First off, this is supposed to be emulating a guitar, not a piano, and the way that we have these notes programmed in here, they are all hitting perfectly on the beat every single time, all at the same time. And that's not how a guitar works. I mean, think about it, you strum it, so you're not hitting every note at the same time. You're going to hit the root note first and then every note after that. So let's change the snapping to none, and then slightly shift over the notes of the chord. And do this for every single chord. I wouldn't recommend that you do the exact same intervals for every single chord because it'll sound a little bit more human that way. So this might take a second, but the results are worth it. And you can play with this as much as you want. We're essentially just adding air because humans are not perfect. So if we take a listen to that, here's what it sounds like. And that's already a whole hell of a lot better. What we can also do is mess with the velocities, which I already seem to have done a little bit, but we can make it a little bit more dramatic. So again, humans are not perfect. You are not going to strike every note with the same vigor, so we can mess around with the velocity. Nice. These same principles apply if you're trying to emulate something like fingerpicking a melody. Don't make everything on beat and shift the velocities around. That's going to make everything feel a lot more human and a lot more natural. But beyond that, the other half of the battle is mixing. So let's send this to our first mixing channel. Now obviously if you were making a real beat, you would go through and add reverb and EQ and all the other effects that you would like to tweak the sound. But I'm going to save you that time today, and I just want to show you 3 plugins that I love and use when I use guitars. The first of which is not included in FL, but it is free. It's called Saturation Knob, and it does what it sounds like. This is going to be a little extreme, but I'm just showing you the saturation that this adds. So obviously that's a lot. You could probably tone that down, or you could do even more if you really wanted to. It's really straightforward to use. It only has 2 controls. This dial, which basically controls how much of the effect you want to have. And then there is the saturation type, high, neutral, or low, which basically gives it a bias towards the high end or the low end, which one you're going to be saturating or distorting. Then if you want to get fancy, there's Sketch Cassette. Sketch Cassette is a paid plugin, but you can get it for $20 on sale, and I would highly recommend it. The best way I could explain what it does is it adds age to your recordings, so if you're trying to make some sort of lo-fi beat, this is definitely something you want to consider. There's even a section called lo-fi. Let me just try out one of these presets to show you what it does. Alright, so we're going to want to dial this back a little bit. It adds like a hissing sound, and I've never been a huge fan of that feature because you hear it all the time and it never stops. You can control the amount of saturation, the intensity, the depth of the dropouts. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with this. Here's what it sounds like with the effect. So that one is a little bit dramatic. It makes the pitch a lot more wobbly, but it's pretty cool. There's many more subtle effects that you can do, but I'm not going to waste too much time. You can watch a video on Sketch Cassette if you're more interested in that. And then the last plugin that I want to show off is actually built into FL. That is Hardcore. Now again, Hardcore can be overused extremely easily, so be careful with this one. But this one is specifically made for guitars. It's basically a virtual guitar amp. There's loads of presets that you can scroll through. Let's just pick a random one. Okay, maybe not that one. Let's try bluesy rhythm. Let's turn this down too. That one's pretty nice. So like I said, it is literally like a set of virtual guitar pedals. So essentially, each of these presets is just a grouping of pedals, and you can change them to your heart's content and add your own pedals. So like, if I wanted some reverb, I can add another reverb pedal here, more distortion. You can mess around with these settings to your heart's content. But anyways, that's all I really wanted to share in this video. I just wanted to show that it is entirely possible to use virtual guitars, even though they are one of the harder instruments to get right. One more thing I wanted to mention before this video ends is if you're interested in looking for a VST piano, there's a great preset built into Labs. It is called the Soft Piano. I've used it in a ton of songs, and I think that it is one of the better VST pianos that's free. So here's what that sounds like with no effects. But anyways, that's genuinely all I had to show. I hope you got something from this video. Be sure to let me know by leaving a like and subscribing for more content. We upload tech videos every single Monday, including MIDI keyboard videos and a whole host of other stuff. So if any of that sounds like it's up your alley, be sure to check it out. I'm Aaron, and we'll see you next week.